So in this case, I'm going to start going from back to forward. Most of this demonstration really is to get you familiarized with how to bring things forward and backwards, because remember, in Illustrator everything's in objects. So I kind of tend to draw from the furthest object away to the one that's closest. Okay, so since the sky is going to be the furthest one away, I'm going to make a rectangle that goes about a quarter of the way or 1/3 of the way down the screen by using the rectangle tool and drawing about a third of a way down, something, maybe a quarter, like that. In doing so, then I want to put a gradient inside that so that it looks like a sky. So to put the gradient inside there, I'm going to go to the gradient option right here towards the bottom of the color swatches over here, or not the color swatches, but the color option down here. And the middle one is called gradient. So when I click on it, boom, it should automatically, oh, I got the stroke. There's a mistake I made right there. I had the stroke on top. See that? I don't want a gradient on my stroke. I want a gradient on my fill right here. See, I'm going to put the fill first, then hit gradient. Now, of course, most skies are not black to white like that, unless you're on Mars, I guess. So there is a gradient pop-up window right here. In the gradient pop-up window, we have two colors, one here and one here, which represent the colors of the gradient. To change them, you can double-click on the little color swatch here, and it'll give you color option here. You could either be here or here. I tend to use the swatches right here. And if you click on a color, it'll adjust it. Same with the one over here, the one that's black. I'm going to double click on it twice, and I'm going to choose a color option here, swatches, and then choose another color. In addition, if you want to, you can actually put other colors in here. If you want to put a new color, all you have to do is click underneath the slider here. See the little slider right here? You just click underneath it, and you can actually put another color in there. And if you double click on that, you can then adjust that too. So you can do that. Maybe you wanted a bright area here, or maybe a, ooh, that's sunset, right? If you don't want the color swatches, you can actually go and use the color picker window. There's one that's called color right here that allows you to select the color too. That's probably not the best one. What would a sunset be? Maybe something like that. Okay, so of course the sunset wouldn't be going horizontally. It would be going horizontally, not vertically like this. So to adjust the actual direction of your gradient, you can go to the gradient tool, which is right about here, and if I click on the gradient tool, I can draw a line. I'm going to draw it straight down. If you hold the shift key down, it'll make a nice straight line, and oof, that doesn't look very good, does it? How about we make it a little further? Oh, that looks better. So the further you draw, the smaller. There we go. That might be better. So again, if you want to adjust the gradient, you can just come over to the gradient slider box and make adjustment also. There we go. It's kind of dark and yeah, it's a little better. It's pretty dark.
How do you adjust the angle of it?
The angle can be adjusted using this the tool called the gradient tool right here. And you draw a line with the gradient tool. As you draw a line, it'll allow you to adjust it. In fact, if you put your cursor over the line, you can actually adjust it manually right here. See that? Okay, there's my sky. How about we do the sand before we do anything else? I'm just going to make a sand, another gradient for sand. To do that, I'm going to draw another rectangle towards the bottom here. And of course, I don't want a gradient in there. I'm going to make a different gradient. How do I make a different gradient? Well, I can adjust the gradient automatically, and it won't change this one, but it'll change this one. So we can make some sand here. So again, you can just change, after you draw a gradient, you can change the gradient if you want. If you want to save the gradient for future use somewhere else, you can actually save your gradients. There's a variety of different ways to save them, but the easiest way to save them is to go to the swatches window. In swatches, you'll notice your gradient will show up in the swatches pop-up window right here, and you can drag it where, maybe right here. There's a way to save it, I know. Oh, there. Drag it from the gradient window into the swatches. Again, I'll do that again. Next week we're going to do this a lot, where we take a photograph of some fruit and we're going to steal the colors from the photograph by doing the same technique where you're dragging a little swatch. And so if I click on this one, I want to save this gradient. I can drag it from the swatch right here in the gradient window into the swatches window right here. And actually what you can do is you can actually save these swatches and load them into another Illustrator file. So today, take some time and practice doing some gradients. They're very useful. We're going to be using a lot of gradients in the class, especially for making metal. If you think about it, if you want to make something look metal, we're going to make something look metal by using a lot of gradients that are really close together, because metal's kind of shiny, right? One way to make something shiny is you can do that quite easily by using this gradient window. If I double click on this and go, and make another one, it's black, really bright. Oop, that's not very good. So this is how we make something look metal inside of Illustrator. Again, by putting really dark colors next to really bright colors like this. So if I was to draw, let's say, a pipe, we're going to just make a rectangle, round rectangle here. But if we do something that we're trying to make it something look like a pipe, and then we could use the gradient option here. Oops, that's not the very best. But you get really kind of highlight colors really close together. That's probably not the best example, but that's one use of using gradients to give you kind of a shiny metal look to something. So let's move on. Again, I was calling this Big Sur. The next thing I do with this project is by adding mountains, and I do them from backwards to forward. If you think of Big Sur, when you're sitting up on top of the ridge looking down the coast, you see little rolling hills along the coast, right? And a lot of times they're green, at least when there's not a drought. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of just use the pencil tool. Oh, I guess they're not gradients, are they? We'll do them kind of. I don't know. Maybe they're dark. The ones in the back, maybe purplish, because of the fog. And then another one that goes up. There's another one, and another one that's over top, and then maybe another one, 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 another one, and then maybe one in the back, and maybe another one in the back. Now, of course, these ones are over top of those, so what I really want to do is move these backwards. So to move them backwards, I can click on them and use the object arrange, send back, send forward, send back, send forwards. So right now you notice it says send back is command, and this is a bracket. The bracket is on the next to the P. If you look at your keyboard next to the P. So if I want to move this one back, I can hit command bracket a couple times and it'll move back behind there. There we go. And then this one I want to move back. I'm hitting command, it's like a square bracket. There we go. So these ones are back. So you need to get used to moving things backward and forward. I'm going to change the colors of these. I didn't really want them to be blue. I want them to be kind of dark green, I guess. Oof, that's ugly. Remember, things that are further back are darker than things that are closer to you, usually. So the things that are closer, I usually make lighter. And things that are further away, I make darker. That one should be a little lighter. And this one is far away. So think about how things are layered. That doesn't look great, but let's put some water in there. That'll help. To put water in, I'm going to use the pencil tool, and I'm going to put myself in a nice sort of beach area. And we'll make that an ocean. Then we'll put in some rolling hills in the back. Remember when we made the landscape before, we had a little rolling hill? Rolling hills. There we go. Oh, not blue hills. There we go. Little green grass area there. And what else do we have? So we got a little green area, we got some beach area, maybe a little freeway going down there. Again, you can move your points around so that it's nice and organized. There we go. Something like that. You can move points around. Hope that's moving the whole object. And then, of course, we can make a palm tree if we wanted to. What I wanted to demonstrate also in this lesson is again, the using the brush tool. One of the things that Donna uses well is the paintbrush. So if I wanted some wave action in my water here, I can use the paintbrush, and I'm going to use a little bit lighter blue. I'm going to use a lighter blue color. And in the paintbrush options, if you want, I'm using the paintbrush. In the paintbrush options, if we can find them, under brushes, under window brushes, you'll notice there's different kinds of brushes inside there. Okay, right now there's one that's a kind of a charcoal, but if you want more than just this kind of, because if I just draw with it, it's going to give me, oh, of course the color is the stroke and not the fill. Oh, let me undo that. Let me switch the colors. There we go. So if I use just a plain brush for a wave, it's going to be like that. That doesn't look very good. Of course, waves are not so smooth, right? So what I want to do is you can use the charcoal brush if you want, and that'll give you kind of a rough look. See that? Where you have more of a wave kind of look there, and of course waves are kind of in a row here. If you want to use different types of charcoal, in the very upper right corner over here in the brushes window, in the very upper right corner, you'll notice there's one that says Open Brush Library. In the brush library, there's a whole bunch of different brushes. You got artistic brushes, you got border brushes, you got bristle brushes, decorative brushes, image brushes, vector brushes, Wacom 6D brushes. The ones that are kind of like the charcoal are underneath the artistic. They have one for charcoal and pencil right there. And there's a whole bunch of them underneath there to give you all kinds of different types of looks, because of course the ocean is not just nice and boring and flat like this. There's all kinds of different colors in there, so you can add things like that. Okay, again, I am using one of the charcoal brushes to give me more of a look. That's probably not the best look there, but I'm trying to give myself some white caps, right? The water on the ocean is not just plain. It has different options in there. Again, you can use this for all kinds of textures. All kinds of textures. Then, of course, if you wanted to draw yourself a palm tree, I'll do a palm tree real quick. Usually what I've done with palm trees in the past is I would draw a palm tree and then make a texture and put the texture into to where the of course the tree stem of a palm tree has kind of texture to it, right? So if I draw a kind of a palm tree shape here, and then I put a color into it. Oops. You can actually make a texture and put it in there. If you remember from when we were making a texture before, remember making a texture, you make it like a little square area. Oops, that's not too good there. Again, I'm just going to make a real small kind of texture for my palm tree there. He's got a strong base there. Again, I'm just going to do no fill with just some black lines, and I'm going to kind of give a little shape like that, a little shape like that, a little shape like that. Okay. And if I make a little crazy shape like this with just a couple black lines, I can make it into a texture by using the object pattern make. Remember doing that? Object pattern make. And by doing that, I can then make a little pattern. I'm going to leave it as default. Leave it as default. I'm not going to adjust it right now. And I'm going to take that little pattern and put it inside. Oops, I put it on the stroke. My mistake again. There we go. Oops, I guess it's the same color as the background. Because you know what? Since this doesn't have any fill to it, this little pattern I made, since it, jeez, I keep moving that together. Since it doesn't have any fill to it, it's transparent, so the color's coming through behind there. So if I wanted to fix that, I would make a pattern again with maybe a rectangle behind it. A rectangle behind it. No fill. In the back. And make that a pattern like this. So if I wanted a color in there, I would make a pattern like that. And I would make it again. And then click on it. And there we go. So I should have had a color before I did the black lines, I guess. And then the last thing I would do is make some palm leaves. How do we make palm leaves? Just using the pencil tool. And I'm going to use green with black lines. And of course, how do I make it? Palm tree leaf. There we go. Oof, that's a sloppy one there. There's one. There's one. There's a sloppy one. There's one. There's one. And of course, put a little coconuts in there. We don't have coconuts in Big Sur, do we? I don't think so. Coconut. Duplicate your coconut. Remember the option click and drag? I'm sure Bear Grylls would find a coconut to eat there, wouldn't he? So I don't know. Think about, again, the most important things I was showing again is the brushes. There's different types of brushes. Again, the pattern, I was making a little color pattern to put it in there. And of course, things like that. A simple way to make something look like it's 3D. I'm going to do one more thing and I'm going to stop this video. The simple thing to make something look like it's 3D is to put a shadow underneath it, because right now it looks like the palm tree is just floating there, right, on top of a big yellow area. If I click on it, I can go under Effects. Under Effects, there is a drop shadow somewhere, if I can find it. Styles, thank you. And if we go to drop shadow, you can preview what it would look like, and you can adjust it. I don't want it to be offset. I want it to be kind of down. Nope, other way. There we go. And so, I don't know. That makes it look like a little bit better. I don't know. I just wanted to show that. So, practice making